The faith of the Seven is the official religion of the Seven Kingdoms and is heavily integrated into their laws and culture. But how did the Seven become the dominant faith? And who are they? Well, let's start with who the Seven are. Despite what you might think, the Seven is actually a single deity with 7 virtues, or faces, to represent different aspects, and worshippers of the faith will pray to a certain aspect depending on their wants and needs. Anyway, to the good bit, the Seven themselves. So, first we have the Father. This virtue represents judgment and is looked for justice. He's depicted as a bearded man carrying scales. Secondly, we have the Mother. She is seen as a smiling woman and is meant to be the living embodiment of compassion and mercy. She's prayed to for nurturing. Then we have the Warrior. Now, he's the embodiment of strength and is prayed to for victory in battle, and he's pictured as a man holding a big sword. We then have the Maiden. She represents innocence and is prayed to protect Maiden's virtue. Then we have the Smith. He represents crafts and labour. He's prayed to normally when work has to be done, and he is represented as a man holding a hammer. Of course, we have the Crone, which represents wisdom, and is pictured as an elderly woman holding a lantern, and is prayed to for guidance. Finally, we have the coolest, the Stranger. Now, this one is different to the others, as it represents death and the unknown, and is therefore rarely prayed to, but is sometimes prayed to by outcasts from society. Well, now we've identified each aspect of the Seven, let's talk about their origins. Now, the Seven are said to have arose from the hills of the Andals, which is in Andolus, which is in northwestern Essos, and was said to have walked amongst the Andals. Apparently, the Father brought 7 stars down to earth and placed them upon the brow of Hugor, of the hill. Now, each of the 7 gifted him with strength and wives, and he became the first king of the Andals. From here, the faith of the Seven grew, and eventually came to Westros during the Andal invasion from Essos. And when Aegon Targaryen took Westros, he converted to the faith of the Seven, and in return the militant force, which is kind of like the enforcers of the faith, would not intervene with the Targaryen invasion. Anyway, in current times the leader of the faith is the High Septon, and he controls all of the faith's movement from the Great Sept of Baelor, which is that big dome building in King's Landing. The faith of the Seven has some orders who are dedicated to holding the Seven's ways, such as the Silent Sisters who are in charge of funeral services, and I've already mentioned the militia. Of course, even in Westros, the Seven are not entirely worshipped. For example, the drowned god on the Iron Islands, and in the north, where many people worship the old gods. The Seven have been the prominent gods in the 7 kingdoms for centuries, but there are other religions that are far less forgiving.